Disrespect doesn't always come in loud, obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle. The sarcastic remarks, the dismissive tone, the way someone constantly interrupts or disregards your presence. Before you can handle disrespect, you need to recognize it for what it is. Have you ever had that gut feeling that someone wasn't valuing you, but you brushed it off? Maybe you told yourself you were overreacting, or maybe you made excuses for their behavior. But let me tell you this, your feelings are valid. Trust your instincts. If someone repeatedly dismisses your opinions, talks over you, or mocks your achievements, that's a clear sign of disrespect. If they belittle you in front of others, act like your time doesn't matter, or consistently make you feel small, it's time to acknowledge the problem. Recognizing disrespect isn't about being overly sensitive. It's about valuing yourself enough to notice when you're being treated unfairly. When you start paying attention, you'll see patterns. You'll notice who only respects people they think can benefit them, who disregards boundaries, and who refuses to acknowledge your worth. Awareness is the first step. Once you see it clearly, you can start taking action. Because the truth is, if you allow disrespect to continue unchecked, it won't stop. It will only grow. So take a moment to reflect. Who in your life consistently makes you feel less than? Who acts like your time, your words, or your presence aren't valuable? Once you recognize the problem, you can begin the process of standing up for yourself. Once you recognize disrespect, the next step is to set firm boundaries. A boundary is a line that defines what you will and won't accept in your life. Without clear boundaries, people will continue to treat you however they please. So, ask yourself, what behaviors are you no longer willing to tolerate? Maybe it's constant interruptions, belittling comments, or someone disregarding your time. Whatever it is, you need to communicate your limits clearly and confidently. If someone keeps interrupting you, say, "I wasn't finished speaking." If they make a rude joke at your expense, call it out. "That wasn't funny to me." You don't have to be aggressive, but you do need to be assertive. People who lack respect often push boundaries to see how much they can get away with. The more you let slide, the worse it gets. But when you establish firm limits and enforce them, you send a powerful message. I respect myself, and I demand the same from you. And here's the thing. Some people won't like it when you set boundaries. They may get defensive, act offended, or try to manipulate you into backing down. Don't let them. A person who genuinely respects you will acknowledge your boundaries and adjust their behavior. Someone who doesn't, they'll resist, complain, or ignore them altogether. That's your red flag. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about controlling how much access you allow into your space. The people who truly belong in your life will respect them. The ones who don't, they'll expose themselves soon enough. One of the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with disrespect is over. Explaining. You don't owe anyone a detailed justification for enforcing your boundaries or demanding respect. Think about it. How many times have you tried to explain why something bothered you, only for the other person to dismiss it, twist your words, or make you feel like you're overreacting? That's because people who don't respect you aren't interested in understanding you. They're interested in maintaining control. The more you explain yourself, the more they look for loopholes to undermine your stance. When you say, "I don't appreciate being talked down to," and they respond with, "Oh, so now I can't joke around," that's a tactic. They're shifting the focus away from their behavior and making you question your own feelings. But here's the truth. Your boundaries don't need approval. If you say, "I won't tolerate disrespect," that's the end of the conversation. No long-winded explanations, no justifications, No debates. A simple, "that doesn't work for me," or "I won't engage in this," is enough. Remember, people who respect you don't need long explanations. They'll listen, adjust, and move forward. People who don't respect you will argue, deflect, or try to make you feel guilty. Don't fall into the trap of defending your right to be respected. The more energy you spend trying to get someone to understand, the more power you give them. Say what you mean, stand by it, and move on. If they don't respect your stance, they don't deserve your time. Sometimes the most powerful response to disrespect isn't words. It's silence. When you engage with someone who doesn't respect you, you give them energy, attention, and an opportunity to manipulate the conversation. But when you refuse to engage, you take back control. Silence is uncomfortable for people who thrive on disrespect because they expect a reaction. They expect you to defend yourself, argue, or try to win their approval. But when you stop responding, they lose their power. Think about it. What happens when you stop justifying yourself to someone who constantly dismisses your opinions? What happens when you don't laugh at a disrespectful joke? What happens when you don't react to passive-aggressive comments? The person delivering the disrespect is left with nothing to feed off. Instead of trying to make them understand or getting dragged into an argument, simply pause. Let the weight of silence sit between you. If someone crosses the line, you don't have to entertain it. You don't have to explain. You don't have to participate. Disrespect thrives on attention, and the moment you stop giving it, the dynamic changes. Well-timed silence can say more than words ever could. It shows that you are unshaken, that their behavior isn't worth your energy. And here's the best part. When you master silence, you'll notice that the people who don't respect you will either correct their behavior or fade from your life. Either way, you win. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that you can't force someone to respect you. You can set boundaries, communicate clearly, and demand better treatment, but at the end of the day, respect is a choice. One they have to make on their own. Too often, people fall into the trap of trying to change someone who repeatedly disrespects them. They think maybe if I explain it differently, they'll understand, or if I show them more kindness, they'll start treating me better. But here's the truth. If someone doesn't respect you now, it's not because they don't understand. It's because they don't want to. People know when they're being rude, dismissive, or manipulative. They know when they're crossing a line. And if they continue doing it, it's because they don't value your boundaries. Instead of wasting your time trying to change someone, change how you respond. If someone refuses to respect you, stop trying to convince them. Stop giving them chance after chance. Stop making excuses for their behavior. Because every time you try to change someone who doesn't respect you, you reinforce the idea that their behavior is acceptable. Respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you beg for. The right people will recognize your worth without you having to prove it. The wrong people will keep testing you to see how much you'll tolerate. The moment you stop trying to change them is the moment you reclaim your power. Disrespectful people thrive on your emotional response. They want to see you frustrated, flustered, or defensive because it gives them a sense of control. But the moment you stop reacting the way they expect, you shift the power dynamic. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to snap back, prove a point, or demand an apology. But here's the thing. Reacting emotionally often plays right into their hands. They'll twist your words, make you look like the problem, or use your reaction as an excuse to continue their behavior. Instead, practice emotional control. When someone tries to provoke you, pause, breathe. Keep your voice calm and your expression neutral. If they expect you to argue, respond with silence. If they want to see you upset, stay composed. Nothing frustrates a disrespectful person more than seeing that their words have no power over you. This doesn't mean you should tolerate mistreatment. It means you handle it on your terms, not theirs. When you control your reaction, you make it clear that their behavior doesn't shake you, and that makes you untouchable. It also forces them to either adjust their approach or reveal their true colors. A person who only respects you when they can manipulate your emotions was never respectful to begin with. So the next time someone tests your patience, remember this: your silence is more powerful than their insult. Your calmness is louder than their disrespect. And the less you react, the more control you have. Some people will never respect you, no matter how much you demand it. And that's when you need to make the hardest but most important decision: distancing yourself. Not everyone deserves access to you. If someone constantly disrespects you, ignores your boundaries, or drains your energy, they don't belong in your inner circle. Think about it. Why keep people in your life who make you feel small, unheard, or unworthy? Respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether it's with a friend, family member, co-worker, or partner. If that foundation is missing, the relationship isn't worth maintaining. Distancing yourself doesn't always mean cutting someone off completely. It means reducing their influence in your life. Stop engaging in unnecessary conversations. Stop giving them opportunities to manipulate or belittle you. Stop allowing their opinions to affect your self-worth. Sometimes the best response is to simply walk away. And yes, it can be difficult, especially if the disrespect is coming from someone you care about. But here's what you need to remember. You are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to change. You are not obligated to keep toxic people in your life just because of history, guilt, or societal expectation. You have the right to protect your peace. The moment you start prioritizing yourself, respect over someone else's approval, you take back control. So ask yourself, who in your life makes you feel valued, and who makes you question your worth? Keep the first and create distance from the second. At the end of the day, the most important thing isn't getting others to respect you. It's making sure you respect yourself. Because here's the truth. Not everyone will treat you the way you deserve. And you can't control that. But what you can control is how you see yourself, how you respond, and what you allow into your life. When you carry yourself with self-respect, it changes everything. You stop seeking validation from people who don't appreciate you. You stop tolerating toxic behavior just to keep the peace. You stop lowering your standards to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. If you constantly doubt your worth, let people cross your boundaries and accept disrespect, others will follow that lead. But when you stand firm, demand better, and refuse to settle, you attract the right people. Those who see your value without you having to prove it. Self-respect is your greatest shield. It's what keeps you from begging for what should be freely given. That reminds you that walking away from the wrong people isn't a loss. So from this moment forward, stop chasing approval. Stop trying to force respect out of people who will never give it. Instead, build your confidence, protect your energy, and trust that the right people, the ones who truly respect you, will recognize your worth without you having to convince them. Starts with you. Own it, live it, and never settle for less.